get started.
Okay, so we would like to start this meeting off with a land acknowledgement because it's very important for us to recognize that the land we are on does not belong to us, and the impacts of this land being stolen and of colonization are still very prevalent today. So to begin, we acknowledge that we are in the homeland of the Coast Salish people, and it is with gratitude that we recognize the tribes of this area and that it is their land we are on. So if you are interested in learning more about the land you're on, I'm going to put a link to an interactive map in the chat.
Thank you, Feden. Okay, so it is important to know that the Natural Leaders Program is actually part of WABS, Washington Alliance for Better Schools. And so we always want to make sure that we share a little bit about our organization as well. And so WABS is a collaborative of 12 school districts in the Puget Sound area. You can see the logos of those districts on the screen. And our board of directors is made up of the superintendents of those 12 districts, along with folks from industry and often higher ed. And so our board guides our strategic plan and the work that we do in these areas. And we have kind of these different tiers or branches of work that we do. We have our work with educators through our Access STEM program. We have direct work with students. And then, of course, we have our work with families, and that's the Natural Leaders Program that we are going to talk to you about today. And before we get too far along, I just want to mention, we will have an opportunity for questions at the very end, which is kind of a long way away. So if you have a question, and I would encourage you to kind of jot it down if you have a piece of paper and pencil, or if you're taking notes on the computer. As your questions come up, just go ahead and jot those down, and then we will go ahead and take some time at the end to answer your questions.
Okay, so before we share some more information about the Natural Leaders Program with you, we would like to show you all this video so you can learn about the impact of the program from family members and parents who participated in the program, in addition to some of our partners.
And give me just a moment to get the video started, because I do want to make sure that the Spanish subtitles are up and that I slow it down so that you have time to read it, because it's not easy to interpret a video. So.
I wanted my kids to
And just in case you didn't know that you could do this to get subtitles in different languages, of course, they're auto-translated, so they're not completely accurate, and we apologize for that. But it does help. And you can always change the playback speed. It sounds a little funny in some places because it's kind of slow, but I also think it's helpful to have a chance to actually read the subtitles.
To be better. I wanted my kids to succeed in life.
This program gave me the opportunity to get involved inside the school.
It's grassroots. It's how you get people involved, and it's continuous, right?
It's like, it's nice knowing that like your parent knows exactly like what's going on and they can actually see it with their own eyes.
What I love about Natural Leaders is that it does empower parents and it gives them voice.
That's where I realized, like, yeah, we need to be part of it. We need to bring more awareness for various cultures here, schools.
I'm so thankful that I joined Natural Leaders, because now Natural Leaders is part of my family, and I noticed that I have friends out there for me to support, and they can support me as well. I came to US when I was 16 years old. We speak Spanish most of the time at home, so we're a bilingual family. So the first time I went, it was just like a learning experience for me. But then I realized that I wanted my kids to know other students with the same background or different background. So that's why I decided to join Natural Leaders.
When I start to know more parents, I feel very fortunate because it's not only about what is happening in my home with my children, but also what can happen with other students inside the school.
We know that those parents that are able to engage and know what's going on, and that adds to the empowerment and the motivation, of students.
I think as a parent, we are a role model. So all the things that we can do as guardians or parents are very important.
I just think that it's kind of cool that she's really involved with the school and that she helps out with a lot of things, because not that many people really care about like events from the school. I'm proud of my mom because of that.
It has to be a team effort, so we have to engage a lot of stakeholders, and we have to engage our families. And when our families are engaged, our students perform better.
Knowledge is power. So if we bring more awareness and bring more inclusive environment, it's going to help our next generation. So I am trying to reach out to more families, bring awareness about this Natural Leader program.
Knowing other people makes a huge difference. If I wouldn't join Natural Leaders before, I wouldn't have so many resources for me and to share out.
You can provide your talents, provide your opinion. You can say what is your need. And for me, definitely the difference in my family.
We need to be connected. If we want to grow, we need to do it together. So everybody is aware around what's happening and how we can help everybody.
I feel like Natural Leaders is important because it's walking us through the success of our students.
Okay, so sometimes it's just nice to be able to hear from others about their experience with the program. So we'll try and add a little bit of that into today. So the question often comes up, who are natural leaders? And so natural leaders are multicultural parents and family members that serve as a bridge between families, community, and schools. And so natural leaders are those families that really represent the diversity of their school community. They serve as cultural brokers and help build that connection that oftentimes families may be feeling, for families that are feeling disconnected from the school for various reasons. And so traditionally, the program has been around for 18 years. That has traditionally been our immigrant and refugee families, but really it is extended and goes beyond that to include all of those families and students that are furthest from educational justice. So our communities of color, those experiencing poverty, and anyone else feeling like the barriers that have been put in front of them for the school have prevented them from having their voice heard.
Okay, so why are natural leaders needed? So as Jen mentioned earlier, natural leaders represent the diversity of their school communities. and honoring their experiences and listening to their voice ensures more equity and access for all students. So we recognize that there are inequities within the school systems, and those must be addressed by partnering with families who are most impacted by these inequities. When we honor their experiences and their wisdom, we have a better shot at dismantling the inequities because they are the ones who are experts in this knowledge. So with family leadership, it positively impacts our school communities and school culture.
Okay, so then what do they do? What is it that natural leaders are actually doing? And so they engage in new learning, and natural leaders engage in new learning by attending professional development opportunities, information nights, things like this that are offered by WOBs or their school. So we are constantly offering opportunities, but so are natural leaders doing the work in the schools and offering opportunities as well. They create events that families want, and this is based on feedback from the families themselves, and can cover such topics as financial literacy, social and emotional learning strategies for family, planning a family night, and also social activities. And often natural leaders in their schools are also creating events, and those are based on a vision and action plan that they have created through training and just really what families are saying they need and what they want in their schools. And then really it's about building relationships. Natural leaders are that bridge between schools and families and community. And that comes from these relationships that they're building with school staff, with community members, and of course with each other. And so I like to look at this quote from one of our natural leader trainers, Tanya, who said, "I love the Natural Leaders Program. I have learned so much and still learn something new every day. I have made many connections with parents and different people from all walks of life. It has been a great experience and has opened doors to many things I didn't know that I could be a part of." And so that's what natural leaders are doing. They're making these connections. They're engaging in new learning. They're bringing about change in their schools. And having a positive impact for the success of not only their students, but all students.
So equitable family engagement is the core vision of this program. And equitable family engagement is recognition that systemic inequities exist in our educational system that create barriers for families and students based on race, ethnicity, language, socioeconomics, ability, and more. In order to address this, we must honor the family wisdom and expertise of those who are impacted as a result of these inequities. We also must partner with families to address these inequities and support students holistically to create positive school culture for all and collaborate in leadership and decision-making.
I think one of the things that Fedin mentioned that's really important to recognize this is that it's the family wisdom and expertise of those who are impacted as a result of these inequities. And so those who are impacted as a result of these inequities you know what it's like to not be able to communicate with the school because things aren't sent home in your language, for those that are experiencing that. And so we're not trying to create something where where it's top down and we're telling families what they should know and what they should be asking for, but instead asking for you to tell us, to tell the school, to tell the system, this is what we need. And so if you're here or you're watching this and you're thinking that everything is sent home in your language, and you see yourself and your students reflected in the curriculum, in the social structures, in the food that's being served in the cafeteria. If you're feeling like, well, your kids are able to participate in all the extracurricular activities, even if there is a fee. All of these things, if you're feeling like that's not actually, these barriers are not being put in your place, then you might be thinking that this program isn't for you. And while it isn't for you, we always can use allies too. And so I do want to point that out, because This program is for and about those that are being impacted, those families that have been disengaged by the system and that haven't had a voice. And if that is not you, there is still a place for you as an ally. And it's important that we have allies in this work to help us make sure that the voices we're hearing are the ones that we need to be hearing. And so there's an important role for everybody to be a part of this program. Okay, so I have another video. Oh, sorry, Fedin, go ahead. So we have another video and to hear from one of our natural leaders about their favorite part. And again, give me a second as I get it playing so that I can, I think just slow it down. This one automatically has the subtitles.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Adela Chávez y yo vengo del distrito de Everett. Mis hijos atienden a Elementary y a Middle School respectivamente. Tengo 2 de ellos y una de las cosas que más me gusta de ser Natural Leader y de pertenecer a WAPS es que tengo la oportunidad de hacerme presente en la vida escolar de mis hijos, participar activamente con la escuela, con el distrito escolar y tener información de mucha utilidad. También puedo hacer amigos y también tengo la oportunidad de, junto con otros padres, compartir experiencias y apoyar a la escuela de mis hijos en sus actividades, en la planeación, en la organización y hacer amistades también. Entonces, para mí es importante estar al pendiente del progreso de mis hijos y a través de la información y el entrenamiento que nos dan, para mí me prepara y aprendo a enfrentar con más conocimiento el futuro profesional de mis hijos a nivel académico.
Okay, so now we are going to take a look at how this partnership works in order to support the Natural Leaders Program. So the program is made up of several pieces or roles, and all of these roles are essential parts of the makeup of the program. So the first piece of the puzzle is WOBS, which is our organization. And here we create the structure of the program and offer support based on feedback or things that we're hearing from families and school districts. We also offer several professional development trainings throughout the year, including the Natural Leaders Training Academy. And in that training, we focus on natural leaders curriculum, advocacy, communication, equity, diversity, inclusion, leadership, and more. We also support in creating a vision and action plan. Additionally, we work with the school districts to help support the program. And the school district supports the program by appointing someone or a team of people to be a Natural Leaders district lead. And what they do is let us know what kind of support is needed and communicate with schools in their district about the program, about opportunities that are available to them and how they can participate in the program. And they also help to support the school lead and the school staff.
And so that brings us to the school lead and school staff. And so, as I mentioned before, each school usually has a school lead. So at least one person, one staff member that's supporting the program and supporting the natural leader teams at that site. More and more, we're seeing that being a team approach. And so there's at least a couple people, if not a whole team of staff that is supporting the program. And even further than that, we are working to train as much school staff on just what the program is, to be champions of it, if nothing else, to be able to have more people that you can go to and you say, do we have natural leaders, or have you heard of natural leaders? And they're like, yes, we have heard of natural leaders. Here's what they do. Here's how we can connect you to make sure that that's happening. So, but essentially at the school, what staff are doing is they're supporting the logistics of the program, making sure natural leaders have a place to meet, supporting them in holding events and those logistical pieces. They help families make the initial connections especially for those of you that are first getting started. It can feel overwhelming to know how to connect to other parents, and they can help make that initial connection. Um, and then they're really balancing stepping in and stepping out of leading the work. So staff may do a lot more as you're building a program, and then as your program is growing and thriving, and you as natural leaders receive more training and are really the spokespeople for it, then they step out. So it's really balancing when to step in to support when you need it, and then stepping out to make sure that it's your voices that are being highlighted and elevated. Because that brings us to you, the families, which is the heart of the program. Even though we're doing more to train staff and including them in training, it's really about being able to support the families. This program is for and about families because of all of the reasons that we mentioned when we talked about equitable family engagement. You are the most important piece of the puzzle because your expertise and experience is essential in being able to support students and being able to make change, so that all students can be successful and not a certain group of students. And the educational social activities that are being hosted, that comes from your voice, from your work, and all the other events that natural leaders are doing. That has come from natural leaders saying we have a need, and we want to support it in this way.
Okay, so the Natural Leaders Program has several strategies we use for success. One of those is that our program is driven by the needs of each community and their families. So again, the purpose of this program is for families and parents to be the leaders. So we can't tell them what they need or how they should be doing things. Each school community has different needs and different trends. So the work that one natural leaders team is doing at their school may look different than the work of another natural leaders team, because these schools have different communities. The natural leaders meet regularly, to discuss the needs of families at their schools and think of ideas that would support families based on those discussions. And that is what is consistent or the same in each district. Families are identifying their needs and coming up with ways to address their needs, and then they are communicating with their schools about the needs they identified and how they would like to partner with them in order to address it.
But there are more opportunities that are coming up, and so just wanted to share that with you as well. If you have not already gone through the Natural Leaders Training Academy that WOBS puts on, and you would like to kind of dig a little bit deeper, we do have an opportunity coming up. Registration has not been opened up yet because we're waiting to get through these, but if you wanted to mark your calendars, that training academy is coming up beginning on Monday, October 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And then it's 5 consecutive Mondays. So it begins on the 18th, but that's night 1. And then it'll be the 5 Mondays from that point on from 6 to 7:30. It is online. We do it on Zoom. In previous years before COVID, this was an in-person training. It was 3 days that were 5 hours long. So we try and cover all of the material in this way. So there's 5 nights of live session where we're doing training and work, activities, breakout rooms, and then there's always usually a little bit of homework as well. So that's that asynchronous part of the training, the work that you're doing on your own. And then in the end, our goal is that you're creating a vision and action plan to then take forward. This training is for families and staff together. So it's a good opportunity to be able to plan and go through training together. There are times where it's just families. There'll be one night where staff is not there because we want to make sure that you're still centered in all of this. And even when staff and families are together, there's times where we're having breakout groups and having separate conversations, because it is different for staff. It's about making sure they understand the equitable family engagement piece, number 1. And number 2, helping them balance that stepping in and stepping out aspect to the work. So that's why we include those. So if you're interested in this, one of the best ways, if you're on social media, is to follow our social media accounts. We are on Facebook and Instagram. Both of those are at WOBSNL, right, Fedin? That's right, right? Yeah. So you can find us in those places. We're always posting our opportunities there, as well as lots of other really helpful information, tools, resources, opportunities, even beyond WOBs. So if you do social media, and I understand if you don't, I really do. Sometimes I wonder why I'm on social media. But if you do, it's really great to follow us because we share a lot there. If not, you can just check our website regularly as well. We have a whole family section. Our professional development opportunities are on the website, as well as other resources for families. So that address is there on the screen as well. And then we'll get those in the chat too.